Everything's fine. I'm gonna be fine. The last swan song for Dustin Poirier was everything us fans could have wanted. It was a back and forth war for 25 straight minutes. Dustin Poirier, Max Holloway, the trilogy bout, 13 years in the making. And they absolutely delivered and put on a show for the New Orleans, Louisiana crowd at UFC 318 on Saturday night. 633 total strikes thrown with 310 total strikes landed. It was a war that only two men such as Max Holloway and Dustin Poirier are capable of putting on, and it's because it's not the first time that they've done this dance with one another. This was a mirror image of their fight 6 years ago in 2019, where Dustin Poirier would win to become the interim lightweight champion, except this time around, Max Holloway flipped the script and remains the BMF champion in the UFC and a top 5 lightweight in the world right now. This was a fantastic striking match back and forth between both of these men, with Max Holloway upping the volume when compared to Dustin, and that's something that we are used to with Max Holloway and his significant strike record that he holds, and just added 198 more to, now north of 3,600 all time. And it was the combinations of Max Holloway that really paid dividends over the course of these 25 minutes, as he was able to rally two 49-46 scorecards and one 48-47, and he was able to land one knockdown on Dustin Poirier and a second sequence where he had him very wobbled but didn't secure the knockdown, whereas Dustin Poirier himself was also able to secure one knockdown. Because when you look at the stats even further, the head strikes for significant landed was 103-94 in favor of Max, but where the biggest discrepancies were to the body and to the legs, as Max landed 64 body shots as compared to 6 for Dustin, and landed 31 leg kicks as compared to just 9 for Dustin. He mixed up his arsenal of weaponry much more, and he was able to do it with combinations. He would go to the head, go to the body, finish it with a leg kick, or vice versa. He was really switching it up on Dustin, whereas Dustin was really mainly headhunting for the most part, and obviously having success, but not enough to get the nod on the scorecards and steal enough of those rounds, although it was an absolute blood and guts war that could have absolutely been a fight of the night if it weren't for two other amazing scraps on this card. So first, for the winner in Max Holloway, who is still the BMF champion, the first person to ever successfully defend the BMF belt in the UFC, and the number 5 ranked lightweight on planet Earth today. What could be next for him after this amazing performance over Dustin, righting the wrongs and getting the nod in order to save him from going 0-3 in 2 separate trilogies in the UFC? Honestly, I feel like it's a pretty clear-cut fight to make next, in my opinion, and I was even talking about this with my buddies on Saturday morning leading into UFC 318 later that night, and it's Charles Oliveira versus Max Holloway Part 2, this time at 155 pounds. I think there's no other fight in the lightweight division that is easier to book right now, and I know he called for his opportunity to get a rematch with Ilia Topuria, this time up a weight class at lightweight for the lightweight championship of the world, and he was even mentioned to Dana White at the post-fight press conference.
Yeah, I don't want to put you on the spot. Do you think Ilia has done enough to fight Max for the BMF title and the lightweight title at the same time?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, fair enough.
But it just seems like the title picture at lightweight right now is just too murky to throw another addition into the mix, such as Max Holloway, because we have Ilia Topuria coming off of beating Charles Oliveira at UFC 317 for that vacated title, and then we have two number 1 contenders in Arman Tsarukyan and Justin Gaethje, even though neither of them seem to be in the front runner to face Ilia Topuria next, because it damn sure might just be Paddy Pimblett sitting back at number 10. So to add Max into that mess just seems like a bit too much, and we just saw him face Ilia Topuria less than a year ago. It was just in October of 2024 when Topuria knocked out Max Holloway to defend that featherweight title. Let's see them at least get one more fight each before we bring them back together, this time at lightweight. Now for Ilia, it could be any of those 3 names. It could be Arman, it could be Gaethje, it could be Paddy, and the 2 men that he doesn't face should ultimately face one another, which leaves Charles Oliveira available and Max Holloway coming off of a win over Dustin Poirier, and both of their last losses, Oliveira and Holloway, were to Ilia Topuria. You can't have a fight make more sense right now at lightweight than that one right there. It's right in front of us. It's 2 fan favorites, and hell, you could even put the BMF belt on the line in that fight too. So if that's the fight that you want to see next for Max Holloway, let me know down in the comments below. And if you disagree, if you think this is enough now, 2-0 in this new stretch at 155 pounds with wins over Gaethje and Poirier for Max to get the title shot with Ilia, let me know. And if you want to see him face someone else instead of Charles Oliveira, Give me your thoughts on that as well. There's a lot to talk about, but I just don't think it gets more clear than Oliveira versus Holloway. But I'm open to having my opinion be swayed by you. And for Dustin Poirier, man, thank you for the memories. An absolute legend of the fight game, a first ballot Hall of Famer who would become an interim champion, who would challenge for the undisputed title 3 times, who would challenge for the BMF championship 2 times, and who has faced nothing but the best fighters in the world for well north of a decade at this point, and has been in the UFC in totality since January of 2011, 14 and a half years, and over 30 plus fights. There aren't many resumes that can stack up to Dustin Poirier, and that includes some of the best champions that we've seen in the UFC's history. He was an amazing ambassador for the sport of mixed martial arts. He did everything properly. He never put on a fake persona. He was always true to himself. And even when the going got tough, even when he would have some of the ugly exchanges with some of the fighters that he didn't quite get along with, he always stayed true to him and kept himself grounded and anchored on focusing to the fight game and not letting outside distractions get into his head. He's a family man expecting a second child at the end of the year. He has the Good Fight Foundation that gives back to his local community in Louisiana, and he has turned his name value from the UFC and all of the historic bouts that he has had against some of the best names that we've ever seen in the promotion's history into business ventures on the outside of the cage, and has set himself up for success for the remainder of his life and for generations of his family to come. When you look up mixed martial artist, Dustin Poirier's picture should be next to those words because he lived and breathed it to his core from day one all the way until January 19th of 2025. So Dustin Poirier, thank you for the memories. Thank you for the delicious hot sauce. Thank you for the sick merch. And thank you for being one of the best fighters and human beings that we have ever seen. And not only the Ultimate Fighting Championship, but in the entire sport of mixed martial arts. You are a legend, and our hat is off to you. So give me all your thoughts on this BMF title fight from UFC 318 down in the comments below. What did you make of the performance for Max Holloway bouncing back from his loss to Ilia Topuria last October? And what did you make of Dustin Poirier in his last dance, his last fight in the UFC octagon? He put up a pretty damn good fight if you ask me, and I want to get all your thoughts on that and what you think should be next for Max down below. If you enjoyed this recap, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new, as we are currently on the goal and chase of reaching 1,000 subscribers before the end of 2025, and any and all support is greatly appreciated. Alongside recaps of the most meaningful results from every card, I also break down and preview the biggest fights and best storylines heading into each weekend, and I give my thoughts and opinions on MMA news and fight announcements. You can also join the discussion and the community on social media at Verbal Spar MMA on X, Instagram, and TikTok, as well as like the Facebook page Verbal Sparring MMA. And if you're a podcast listening type, no worries, we've got you covered there, as you can follow along on Spotify, Apple, and more, where long-form audio episodes release every Monday and Friday. Have a great week, and I will see you all in the next video.